Well, time for some blah, 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 yaggity schmackety, boys. We're talking about the hot rod version of the Revell Chevy Street Pickup. And of course, we're doing this one for the Street Machine Group, hosted by our good friend, Mr. Jason, over at Blue Ox Model Shop. A fine channel, a fine man, and everything's fine. We're all fine here. I quote Han Solo. But yes, our house guest has headed on back home, and we're back to the normalcies of the household. So we're back to the bench, and have been inspired to be working on our Street Machine pickup truck. Now, if you don't recall, this guy here was a bit of a faff because it had some issues. It was a lot of twisting and torquing, and no twerking though, unfortunately. But it had some frame twist, it had some body twists, and oddly enough, they were in opposite directions. That was kind of interesting. And no, they didn't cancel each other out, but at least they didn't enhance each other to make it even worse. So we did a lot of massaging on the. We did some massaging here, some massaging over there, a little bit of wrist work in there, but we got this kind of flattened out, and it's sitting on all four wheels right now. We have these tacked in place, and when I say we have it tacked in place, sometimes we'll use white glue like this stuff here. This is what we usually like to use. This is Canopy Glue by Zap, and it's Formula 560. I'm not 100% sure if that's just a product name or if there's actually a formulation in that. Don't know. Basically, it's a thicker version of the white PVA glue or school glue or Elmer's glue, whatever you feel comfortable with. All are correct. I've heard them used either way. So sometimes we have that stuff tacked up with that stuff, but this time we wanted something that didn't have a lot of excess to it, because sometimes that stuff will squeeze out, whatever. We wanted something that didn't have a lot of excess so we can get good, proper distances on things. Or I should say, not distances, what would be a good word for that? Tolerances. Thank you for shouting that out. I appreciate that. But we've been using this stuff here, the Tamiya Extra Thin Cement. And this stuff is basically MEK, methylketone. And yeah, if you leave this jar open, oh man, you go back in time. It's awesome. But what we'll do is we'll just put a couple drops here and there, tack the parts together, and then when we want to go back and take everything apart, we add a little bit more cement to that joint, and we just do a little bit of a pull, and everything comes apart just fine. So that's another way you can tack stuff together. So there's a top tip right there. But we have the bed installed and the fenders just sort of tacked in place because we needed to get the ride height figured out for the rear wheels. And then once we got that figured out, we could do basically whatever we wanted to with the front wheels. And turns out the kit stance was a little too high, so we flipped the axle. We put the axle on top of the springs. Let's see if we can do a zoom in here. Let's do a little bit more. There we go. So we did like an axle flip for the front. I know that's not really a great way to do that, but it's a great way to shave off a couple millimeters and suck those wheels up into the fenders the way we wanted it to. Now you'll notice there's some white exhaust pipes sticking out here, like that. So we'll just pull back here. And we were goofing around with this and doing some mock-ups and stuff. And the rear axle was a little too wide for the wheels and tire combination that we chose for this guy. And a little too wide. So we ended up pilfering some wheels and tires out of the Monogram Plymouth GTX kit that was crushed. It was the one with the blue, molded in blue. It had been crushed in shipping or whatever. So I could fix it. I don't know. Well, I want to build stuff, not fix models before I build them. So I just started pilfering parts out of it for this kit. So I took the wheels and tires and different set of wheels, different set of tires for the front here. So they're a little bit staggered, but love these wheels. I think they look great. I took some backing discs out of a different kit. And then the Roadrunner kit, the current issue of the Revell Roadrunner kit, the 124 scale one, that rear axle happened to be the exact right length in the back there to put the wheels on and make everything look cool. So we ended up just tacking this in place. We snipped the springs to close to the proper length, tacked them in place to see how everything's going to fit and join, so we could tack the wheels in front there and get the right height figured out and how everybody wants to look. And now, as I look at this and everything, I'm thinking, wow, this is kind of think I should just shorten up those exhaust pipes a little bit, because that's kind of cool. I kind of like those flat tips sticking out there. And like the exhaust, it's all molded together, of course, and there's a lot of guys that don't like that. Um, it's kind of a cool idea. I'm not 100% sold on leaving the exhaust where it's at. I do like the idea of slicing that off of there and then doing my own exhaust. I thought that would be kind of cool, but I might keep these mufflers just because they're great for the application we want to use here. And we did find our 527 big block from Mr. Iceman Collection. We found that. We soaked it in some soapy water for a couple days, mainly because I forgot, for a couple days, and then we were able to pull off all the little accessory bits and stuff, and now we can get ready to start getting this guy ready for painting him up. Haven't decided on an engine block color yet. I might go Chevy orange. I might go not Chevy orange. I might just go black, because the truck isn't going to be black. It's going to be a different color. Something in the green variety. We're thinking about maybe like a nice GM Fathom green. I really like that color because it's got really cool gold flecks in it and stuff. I think that's a great looking color, especially on these 1970s pickups. But yeah, the block here, I'm maybe I'll just do it black. I'm not 100% sure yet, but there's all that to figure out later. Right now, we're just making sure the model itself is usable. So this kit, if you're not familiar with it, it has kind of an oddity where you have to glue in this rear panel here. And that was one of the reasons why this whole deal here was sort of shifted and wonkified, was because there was no support here. So we went ahead and tacked this in place also, make sure it's going to fit all right, kind of give us an idea of how everything's going to go together. And that's when we discovered an issue. So can you see how much this body undercuts just kind of sucks in at the bottom there? Yeah, it's like a claw out of one of those vending machine games. This floorboard here, chassis, whatever you want to call it, this thing is a little bit wider than this guy needs to be, and there's no, usually with a model car body, we have a lot of length, so we can give it a little bit of flex at the center, so we can get around this issue. This guy doesn't have that. We can only flex it a little bit up here in the front. We're going to pop seams and stuff back here. So once we go and blend the seam in and make it all nice and pretty, we could crack that real easily by trying to flex that over this plate here. So the plan is to figure out exactly how much we have to remove, and we'll have it. So we'll take a little bit off one side, a little bit off this side, the other side, so it's symmetrical. And we'll do our very best just trying to do that, but we'll shave off a little bit on either side so that the cab will just slip down over the top of this, and hopefully it won't be noticeable from the underside. Another thing is this interior tub, and it's too bad this is just an interior tub, but old engineering, old kit, old molds. It's okay. It's not a problem. It's just, it would be cool if we had separate seats, so we could put like race seats in there or whatever. But it's all molded in one piece. And look at how much space there is there. This guy is supposed to tuck up inside the cab, go right up against the window piece. This guy back here, like that. And supposed to slide right up in there and mount up against that thing there and then stay there. It doesn't like staying there. So I'm thinking that we'll just take some styrene scrap and probably on either side of the transmission tunnel build up a couple chunks of styrene on either side, so that this will sit down over the transmission hump like that, and we'll have bracing in the rear so that it won't want to drop down, and everything should stay where it's supposed to be. So I'm just a little worried about this over time, like falling down or slouching or something like that. So we it's too bad we can't put reclining seats in here, but we don't want the whole thing to recline like that. So that's something that we're considering. And I think this one last thing here is this guy. I'm not quite sure why we put sunroofs, moonroofs, whatever you want to call them, in pickup trucks. Um, it's it's like putting a T-top on a pickup truck, but this thing sticks up like a googly eye almost, and I don't like that sticking up so proud like that. It does look like it's an RV skylight in there. So I'm considering deleting that, cutting out a piece to fit in here, and then reworking all this and then smoothing over the top. That's going to be buckets of trouble to make look good, because this does have a little bit of a curve to it, as is directed by factory, but this is really flimsy, and doing that type of work to this could actually end up being all for naught, so that when we're putting this all together, it could flex too much, and oh, there's a seam, oh, there's another seam, that kind of a deal. So deleting the sunroof, definitely something I want to investigate doing. Whether or not it's a practical idea, don't know. So there is one other issue, which I don't know if it will be an issue or not. Let's just take a mock up here real quick and get it kind of close. So yeah, you see the plastic bars there, they go right alongside either edge of the sunroof opening. So we don't have a lot of space in there. I'd have to notch these out a little bit, because you do want to put like a little piece inside of here to narrow down the gap, so that you have a place to set your fill panel on. That's how I intend on doing it anyway. So and then go around and try and fill the seam all the way around. And again, do all that work with as little putty as possible, so that you don't have to worry about that drying out, cracking, or changing shape over time. Because we want these to last forever, right? That's the name of the game. So that's where we're at with the Hot Rod, Revell Hot Rod Street Machine pickup truck. This thing. So yeah, we're gonna get back on that. We're just tinkering. Jason already knows we're not making any deadlines on this guy here, and he's totally cool with that. He's like, just have fun, man. Just have fun, which is the name of the game, right? So there we go. We're going to go ahead and say goodbye. We'll talk to you a little bit later on. We have other updates on other models to talk about, but it's too much for one video. So this guy gets his own special one. Right, y'all? We'll talk to you later on. Have a good week, rest of your weekend, and we'll see you later this week. Bye now. What color? What color? What color? Ooh, how about gold? No, not gold.